Picture this: a single, unassuming crack in a perfectly smooth wall, so small you'd miss it if you weren't looking close enough. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's me, Lily, at 31 years old, standing in the middle of a life I built brick by brick, only to realize I've been staring at that crack for far too long. I'm married to Paul, 34, an accountant who could set a clock by his habits. Every morning, without fail, he's up at 6:30, spooning the same oatmeal into his mouth, the clink of his bowl against the counter like a metronome. By 7:15, he's out the door, briefcase in hand, leaving behind a silence that settles over our suburban home like dust. Our house is the kind of place you'd drive past without a second glance. Beige walls, inside and out, as if color might be too much of a risk. The lawn is trimmed to perfection, not a blade out of place, because Paul insists on mowing it himself every Saturday at 9 a.m. sharp. Inside, on the mantel above our rarely used fireplace, sits a framed wedding photo. Me in a flowing white dress, Paul with that shy, earnest smile. But when I look at it now, it feels less like a memory and more like an artifact, something from a civilization I don't quite belong to anymore. I catch myself standing at the living room window too often, gazing out at the same cul-de-sac, the same mailboxes, the same neighbors walking their dogs at the same time every day. It's like I'm trapped in a loop, a rerun of a show I didn't even like the first time. Paul's predictability used to be my anchor. His steady hands, his quiet "good morning" over coffee, the way he always remembers to take out the trash on Wednesdays, it grounded me. But now, that steadiness feels like a weight, pressing down until I can barely breathe. I'm restless in a way I haven't been since my early 20s, back when I'd hop on a bus to nowhere just for the thrill of not knowing where I'd end up. I crave that freedom, that electric pulse of possibility. I want to feel alive again, to step outside this beige box and taste something wild, something reckless. Paul, bless him, wouldn't understand. He's kind, always has been, but his idea of excitement is switching from regular oatmeal to cinnamon on a whim. I love him, I do, but love isn't enough to fill the hollow space growing inside me. We've got friends, though, who keep things from feeling completely stale. Sarah and Mark, this bubbly couple in their late 20s, are like a shot of espresso whenever they come around. Sarah's laughter fills a room before she even says a word, and Mark's always got some ridiculous story about their latest adventure. Last time, it was ziplining in the mountains. Then there's Ryan, Ethan, and Nate, a trio of Paul's old college buddies who still act like they're pledging a frat, always showing up with too much energy and not enough tact. They're loud, they're messy, but they bring a kind of chaos I secretly crave. So, when Paul suggested throwing a party at our place on a warm Saturday evening, I jumped at the chance. Maybe, just maybe, a house full of people would shake off the dust that's been settling on my soul. The day of the party, I'm in our kitchen, the late afternoon sun streaming through the window, casting golden streaks across the counter. It's warm, the kind of evening where the air feels like a soft blanket against your skin, and I've got the back door cracked open to let in a breeze. I'm arranging trays of snacks, neat little piles of cheese cubes, stacks of crackers, and mini sandwiches with the crusts cut off, because Paul thinks that's classier. My hands move on autopilot, lining everything up just so, while my mind is somewhere else entirely. I'm wearing this red dress, tighter than anything I've pulled out of the closet in years, the fabric hugging my curves in a way that feels almost daring. I catch my reflection in the hallway mirror as I pass by, and for a split second, I see her, the old Lily, the one who used to dance until dawn, who'd laugh too loud and not care who heard. My heart skips, a little thrill buzzing through me, like I'm on the edge of something I can't quite name. Paul's in the living room, fiddling with his laptop, setting up a playlist of the safest, most generic pop songs you've ever heard. Think elevator music with a beat. Nothing that could offend, nothing that could surprise. I hear him humming along, completely content, and I force a smile as I call out, asking if he needs help. He doesn't, of course. He never does. Everything's under control, just like always. But inside, I'm itching, restless in a way that's hard to pin down. It's like there's a storm brewing under my skin, and I don't know if I want to run from it or straight into it. The doorbell chimes, and I wipe my hands on a dish towel, smoothing my dress as I head to answer it. Sarah and Mark are the first to arrive, their laughter spilling into the house before I even get the door all the way open. Sarah's got this infectious grin, her arms already outstretched for a hug, while Mark's holding up a bottle of cheap wine like it's a trophy. I laugh, genuinely this time, and wave them in, feeling a flicker of warmth at their energy. Not long after, Ryan, Ethan, and Nate show up, rolling in with a few other guys from Paul's college days, their voices booming as they slap each other on the back. There's about 15 of us total now, 10 of them men, their presence filling the house with a rowdy energy that's both exhilarating and a little overwhelming. The party kicks into gear fast, and by 11 p.m., it's in full swing. I can hear the chaos from the kitchen, where most of the crowd has gathered for some drinking game that involves a lot of shouting and clinking glasses. Laughter erupts every few seconds, sharp and unrestrained, mixing with the thumping bass of Paul's predictable playlist that somehow feels louder now, more insistent. I'm standing near the edge of the group, a plastic cup of lukewarm beer in my hand, watching everyone lose themselves in the moment. But I'm not really here. My mind is elsewhere, racing, plotting. My heart is pounding so hard I'm sure someone must hear it. A mix of nerves and something else. Something wild and electric that I haven't felt in years. This is it. The moment I've been building toward all night, maybe even longer. I set my cup down on the counter, quietly, so no one notices, and slip away from the kitchen. No one even glances my way as I weave through the bodies, the air thick with the smell of beer and sweat. My red dress clings to me as I move, the fabric brushing against my skin like a reminder of who I'm trying to be tonight. I head toward the living room, my steps deliberate but quick, my breath shallow. The space is a stark contrast to the kitchen's chaos. It's quieter here, almost eerily so, with just the faint hum of music seeping through the walls. The only light comes from a single lamp in the corner, casting a dim, yellowish glow over everything. Shadows stretch across the floor, making the room feel smaller, more intimate. The coffee table is a mess of empty cups and crumpled napkins, some spilled liquid pooling near the edge, reflecting the faint light. The couch sits there, unassuming, with a low cabinet tucked beside it. A piece of furniture I've barely noticed in years until tonight. That's my target. My pulse is a drum in my ears as I lower myself to the floor, the carpet rough against my knees. I crawl toward the cabinet, the space beneath it tight and cramped, barely wide enough for me to fit. I squeeze in, my shoulders brushing against the wooden edges, my dress riding up as I wedge myself into the narrow gap. It's uncomfortable, almost suffocating, but that's the point. I adjust my position, making sure it looks like I'm stuck. My legs bent awkwardly, one arm pinned beneath me. I take a deep breath, steadying myself, and then I let out a shout, my voice cracking with a panic I don't really feel. "Help! I'm stuck! Someone please!" I call out, letting my words tremble, layering on the desperation. I wait, listening, my chest tight with anticipation. For a moment there's nothing but the distant roar of the party. Then I hear it. Footsteps, hurried and uneven, coming closer. Ryan and Ethan burst into the room, their faces flushed from drinking, their eyes wide with a mix of concern and confusion as they spot me under the cabinet. "Lily, "What the hell happened?" Ryan asks, dropping to his knees beside me, his voice thick with worry. Ethan's right behind him, peering over his shoulder, muttering something about how I even got in there. I whimper, playing the part, my hands gripping the edge of the cabinet as if I'm trying to pull myself free. I don't know, I can't move, I stammer, letting my voice shake. They reach for me, their hands wrapping around my arms, tugging gently at first, then harder. I resist just enough, tightening my grip on the wood, making it seem like I'm truly trapped. Their efforts are clumsy, their breaths heavy with alcohol, and I can feel the heat of their hands through the thin fabric of my dress. My heart is racing now, not from fear, but from the thrill of what's coming next. I lower my voice, letting it drop to a hushed, deliberate tone, each word heavy with intent. "You know, you can do whatever you want with me," I say, my words hanging in the air like a dare, a dangerous invitation I can't take back. My breath catches as I see the shift in their eyes, a flicker of surprise morphing into something else, something raw and unspoken. The room feels smaller now, the dim light casting jagged shadows across their faces as they exchange a quick glance. I'm still under the cabinet, my body tense, my heart hammering so loud I'm sure they can hear it. The thrill courses through me, electric and sharp. But beneath it, there's a whisper of something darker, uncertainty, maybe even fear of what I've just unleashed. But I push it down, deep where I can't feel it. Not now. Not when I'm this close to feeling alive again. Moments pass, blurred and heavy, as more of the guys trickle into the living room, drawn by the commotion. Nate's there now, along with a few others whose names I barely remember, their voices a low rumble of confusion and curiosity. 7 of them in total, crowding around me, their laughter awkward and uneven as they try to make sense of the scene. Some of them kneel down, offering half-hearted suggestions about how to get me out, while others just stand there, hands in pockets, muttering to each other with sly grins. I play along, letting out small, pitiful sounds, keeping up the act even as my mind races a mile a minute. The air is thick with tension, a mix of their uncertainty and my own exhilaration, and I can feel every second stretching out, taut as a wire. Eventually, I let them free me, their hands pulling me out from under the cabinet with exaggerated effort, their chuckles filling the space as I stumble to my feet. My red dress is wrinkled now, the fabric bunched up in places it shouldn't be, and I tug at it absent-mindedly, smoothing it down as I stand in the center of the living room. My legs are shaky, not from being stuck, but from the rush still buzzing through me. I force a laugh, brushing off their questions with a casual wave of my hand, saying something about being clumsy, about how I must have had too much to drink. They buy it, or at least they pretend to, their laughter growing louder, more relaxed, as a few of them clap me on the shoulder like I've just survived some grand ordeal. Some of the guys start drifting back toward the kitchen, their voices fading as they rejoin the party. But a couple linger, their eyes still on me, lingering just a little too long. I'm alone now, or close to it, standing in the middle of the living room, the faint thump of music from the kitchen seeping through the walls. I adjust my dress again, my fingers trembling just slightly as I try to pull myself together. My mind is a storm, swirling with a heady mix of exhilaration and dread, each emotion crashing into the other until I can't tell where one ends and the other begins. I glance around, taking in the mess that surrounds me, cushions scattered across the floor like they've been tossed in a fit, a glass on the coffee table with my smeared lipstick staining the rim, a silent testament to the chaos I've invited into this space. It's evidence, undeniable and stark, of what just unfolded here, of the line I've crossed. My chest tightens at the sight, a pang of something sharp cutting through the high I've been riding. Guilt, maybe, or shame. I don't want to name it, don't want to give it power. But it's there, clawing at the edges of my thoughts. I close my eyes for a moment, and Paul's face flashes behind my lids, his trusting smile from earlier tonight, the way he looked at me when he said he was glad we were hosting this party, glad to see me so excited. That memory stabs deeper than I expect, a reminder of the life I'm risking, the man who doesn't deserve this betrayal. But I shake my head, forcing the image away, locking it somewhere I can't reach. I deserve this, I tell myself, my voice firm in my own mind. I deserve to feel something. Anything. I'm still standing there in the living room, the faint echo of laughter and music drifting in from the kitchen, when I hear the front door creak open. My breath catches, a sudden jolt of reality slicing through the haze I've been floating in. I turn my head slowly, almost unwillingly, and there he is. Paul, standing in the doorway, his silhouette framed by the soft glow of the porch light. He must have stepped out for a moment, maybe to grab something from the car or take a breather from the noise. But now he's back, and the look on his face stops me cold. His skin is pale, almost ghostly under the dim light, and his eyes are wide, filled with a raw, unfiltered disbelief as he takes in the scene before him. Me, standing here, my red dress still wrinkled and askew, my hair a mess from crawling under that damn cabinet. And behind me, lingering near the couch, are Ryan and Ethan, their faces frozen in a mix of guilt and awkwardness, like they've been caught in something they can't explain away. I watch as Paul's gaze darts between us, piecing together fragments of a puzzle he never wanted to solve. His expression shifts, morphing from confusion to something deeper, something that cuts me to the core, devastation. His mouth opens, but no sound comes out at first, just a shaky breath that seems to rattle his whole frame. Then, finally, his voice breaks through, low and trembling, like he's forcing the words past a lump in his throat. Lily, what did you do? Each syllable hangs heavy in the air, a question that's more like a plea, begging for an answer that won't destroy him. But I don't have one. Not one he'd want to hear anyway. Shame crashes over me like a tidal wave, hot and suffocating. I can't meet his eyes, can't bear to see the pain I've carved into them. My hands tremble at my sides, fingers twitching as if they could somehow undo what's already been done. I feel small, exposed, like a child caught in a lie far bigger than I can handle. The weight of what I've caused presses down on me, the hurt I've inflicted on this man who's only ever loved me with a quiet, steady devotion. I want to say something, anything, to soften the blow, to make this moment less real. But my throat is tight. My words trapped behind a wall of guilt I can't climb over. And then, just as quickly as it came, that shame starts to ebb, replaced by something colder, harder. I lift my head, forcing myself to look at him, really look at him, and I feel nothing. No love, no regret, just an empty, hollow certainty that I'm done. Done with this life. Done with pretending. Done with him. It's like a switch flips inside me, shutting off whatever tether still tied me to this marriage. I stand up straighter, my shoulders squaring as if I'm bracing for a fight, though I know there won't be one. Not with Paul. My voice, when it finally comes, is steady, almost unnervingly calm. I don't care anymore, Paul. I haven't for a long time. I've been suffocating in this house, in this life, for years. And I'm done. The words land like blows, each one sharper than the last, and I see them hit him. Tears well up in his eyes, spilling over before he can stop them, tracing silent paths down his cheeks. His shoulders slump, like the weight of my confession has physically crushed him, and his hands clench into fists at his sides, knuckles white from the effort of holding himself together. This is the man I promised to love forever, the man who stood beside me at an altar and swore to be my rock. now breaking apart right in front of me. His pain is a living thing, raw and jagged, filling the space between us until it's all I can feel. I should ache for him, should want to reach out and pull him close, tell him I didn't mean it. But I don't. As Paul stands there, shattered in the doorway, the air in the room feels like it's turned to stone, heavy and unyielding. I can hear the distant murmur of the party still going on in the kitchen, oblivious to the wreckage unfolding here, but it's like a world I'm no longer part of. The remaining guests in the living room, those few who lingered after the earlier chaos, are frozen, their eyes darting between Paul and me, their silence louder than any words. I don't look at them. I can't. My focus is on the next step, the only thing that matters now, getting out. Without another word, I turn on my heel, my movements sharp and deliberate, and head for the stairs. My footsteps echo on the hardwood, each one a declaration of finality, as I leave Paul's broken figure behind me. Upstairs, the hallway is dark, the faint glow from a nightlight casting long shadows on the beige walls. I push open the door to our bedroom, mine and Paul's, though it hasn't felt like ours in ages. The bed is neatly made, the way he always insists, the corners tucked with military precision. The sight of it almost makes me falter, a fleeting pang of something I can't afford to feel right now. I shake it off and stride to the closet, yanking out my old suitcase, the one I haven't touched since our last vacation years ago. It hits the floor with a dull thud, dust puffing up from its edges, a reminder of how long I've been stagnant. I unzip it with trembling hands, the sound of the zipper slicing through the quiet like a knife. I don't plan. I just grab whatever's in reach. Shirts, jeans, a handful of underwear, all shoved in without care or order. My fingers brush against my favorite scarf, the soft, deep blue one I wore on our first date, and for a split second, I hesitate. The memory of that day flickers. Paul's nervous laugh, the way he kept adjusting his tie. But I crush it down and stuff the scarf in anyway, burying it under a pile of crumpled clothes. I move to the dresser next, my eyes catching on the small velvet box where my wedding ring usually sits. I slip it off my finger, the metal cool against my skin, and place it there with a deliberate hollow thud. It's not a gesture for him. It's for me. A line drawn, a weight shed. I don't look at it again as I turn back to the suitcase, zipping it shut with a finality that echoes in my chest. I'm hauling the suitcase toward the door when I hear footsteps behind me, soft but unmistakable. I glance over my shoulder and see Ryan standing there, his frame filling the doorway, his expression a tangled mess of guilt and something else. Curiosity, maybe, or intrigue. His eyes meet mine, searching, and for a moment neither of us speaks. Then, in a low voice, almost hesitant, he says, "You don't have to stay here, Lily. If you need a place, I've got a spare room. No strings." There's a weight to his words, an unspoken understanding of the mess we've both contributed to tonight. I don't overthink it. I don't have the luxury of second-guessing right now. The unknown, as uncertain as it is, feels like a lifeline compared to the suffocating familiarity of this house. I nod, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Okay, let's go. We don't waste time. I drag the suitcase down the stairs, the wheels thumping against each step, the sound a steady drumbeat of my escape. The living room is emptier now, the last stragglers having drifted away, perhaps sensing the air had turned too heavy to breathe. I don't look for Paul as I pass through, though I can hear a faint, muffled sound from somewhere deeper in the house. Sobs, maybe, or just the ghost of them. It tugs at something in me, but I keep moving, my grip tight on the suitcase handle, my jaw set. Ryan's ahead of me, holding the front door as I step into the cold night, leaving behind the echoes of a past I can no longer bear to carry. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.